Right, I thought it was about time I gave you an update on a few things around the farm, and today it's going to be mainly about the pigs because we haven't really seen the pigs in a while, or you haven't, and I thought I'd explain to some of our new viewers a little bit more about them and also what's coming up in the pig world in the next couple of weeks for us here on the farm. So let's go and do the feed, and first up let's deal with some hungry sheep. Well, there's pig number one, but we'll come back to him as long as he doesn't jump out. Now, as with a lot of people, we are really struggling with grazing, hay, feed, everything. So limited rations, no one's happy, everyone's noisy. But if I open that gate now, there'll be carnage, they'll all be running. So I'm going to feed them over the fence here and hopefully distract them. Look at this old girl running. She's only just heard the memo. Oh. And this is what happens. I fed them 2 sacks of feed this week. Now they think I'm going to feed them every time. Get out of the way. You're grass-fed sheep. Pasture for life. Get out the way. Oh. Just hope they're all gone. So we'll talk about the pigs in a little bit more detail when we get over there, but we keep our pigs outdoors all year round, or 99% of the time, unless there's particularly cold weather and we're farrowing, in which case sometimes we bring them in. But this time round, for our next farrowing, we should be all outside, fingers crossed. Now I'll be shopping around for some more hay because we are running low, but it sounds like everyone is in the same boat, so who knows what I'm going to be able to find. Look at them, they're chasing me. I don't think those ones had actually seen the hay. Good evening, girls. The peace is going to be disturbed by some sheep. Trying to go eco with all paper sacks and they disintegrate at the hint of rain. So if you're new to the channel, you'll find yourself now in what we call the secret meadow, which is the other flood meadow, the other side of the brook from the rest of the farm, which gets its name because bizarrely we didn't really know about it, or we didn't see it before we bought the farm, or certainly not before we had our offer accepted. So it's called the secret meadow, and the one other reason is you can't really see it because of all the tree line, but you can't see it normally. So all along the banks along here, both sides, you don't normally get any view through to the other field. However, this year, because there's so little grass around, all the nettles and thistles are also getting grazed, and therefore it's a little bit more open than normal. Access over to the secret meadow is only through the crossing at the moment, which is okay for most of the time, but in time we do want to get this bridge sorted, and I know that's just one of those projects I keep mentioning and it doesn't happen. But that bridge will serve 2 purposes. One is for getting livestock back and forth and as a bit of a footbridge, but also it's a way that we're going to be able to bring water over. So at the moment I've got a pipe lying over the field, strung up in the trees, and a garden hose connected to it just so I can fill up a trough here. But in time what we'll have is we'll be able to trench the pipe across the 20 meters of field over there, clip it to the underside of the bridge, and then this side it can be trenched across to a concrete trough. Now remember, in the winter, or actually any time of year, we can get floods that put all of this underwater. Any standard trough or, you know, a vessel of some sort would probably wash away. A concrete trough will go nowhere. So that's a nice thing to do, because it just means we don't have to worry about it all year round. It can just stay there. We can just isolate that one bit that's above ground during the winter. So there is no update on the brook bridge, apart from the fact that it's a little bit clearer and we want to have a go at it this autumn. You can see the 3 pylons there. They're plenty long enough, plenty strong enough. We just need to clear a bit of a pad both sides, and I've got some concrete railway sleepers, and I think that should be sufficient. They will sit slightly higher than the normal ground level, which also again means that when it floods, majority of it will be above the water level. We're on slightly higher bit here anyway. Today is about the pigs and a little update on how we're getting on with them. What on earth is that? The ground has opened up. That's a weird shape. Is it a rabbit run that's collapsed? Who knows? Now, if you're new to small holding or farming and you want to start with some livestock, apart from your token chickens or poultry, pigs are the best. They're super reliable and easy to look after. They're very well behaved. They're quite quiet. Around this little patch here, we've got 2 strands of electric fence connected to a little battery, and they will not escape, he says. That could turn off, the battery could run flat for 3 or 4 days. They won't try and get out. They're just good like that. The sheep, they'd be jumping it. The cows have already tried to trash this. But anyway, please don't get me mucky, Matilda. So that's Matilda, she's our old girl. I'll walk you through the crew now. They're Oxford Sandy and Black is our breed that we have here on the farm. And we have our 4 breeding girls and our boar, who we'll meet again in a minute, Bruce. So we've gone for the Matilda theme, hence why we've got Matilda, Miss Honey, we've got a Lavender. We ran out of Matilda names, so we've got, no, please don't get me muddy, please don't get me muddy. Oh, I've got shorts on, you rotter. We ran out of Matilda cast names that we knew of, and no one has deserved the Trunchbull name, so we've got Amber. So you've got Matilda, her daughter Miss Honey, Lavender, and her daughter, who will be our new sow for next year. Or she's a young gilt now, so we'll be breeding her in the winter. And she is called Amber. So we've got 2 Mary line, which is the bloodline as far as the genes go, and 2 Gertrudes. Now in general, our farm is very dry, sandy, well drained, but because of that, it doesn't really suit the pigs in the summer. There's little shade up on the banks, and for that reason we try and bring them over here into the woods. So this area over here was once a pond that was dug, and then the trees matured and drained it. So in the winter it does fill up with water a bit, but in the summer it's absolutely perfect pig territory. It's got wallows, mud, high dry ground, shade, basically everything they want. And we just have 4 wooden corner posts that I knocked in and 2 strands of electric. Now really, that electric is more about keeping the cows and the sheep out from here than it is keeping the pigs in, because I could keep the pigs in with 1 strand. The reason we don't really want the other animals to come in here is that pig feed and poultry feed can't be eaten by ruminants, and it can make them quite ill. And we've actually lost 2 goats over the years, because goats will obviously try and eat anything, and if they find a bag of if they find a bag of chicken feed or pig feed, it does nasty things to them. Bizarrely, Buddy, who is our one goat that's kicking around with the sheep, he can eat anything. He shouldn't, but he basically has topped his mates by breaking out, taking them with him. They tuck in, he eats everything. Never affects him, but the boar goats that were with him, the young ones, didn't. Their tummies took a turn very quickly, and we lost them within 24 hours. Anyway, back to, because we have our own boar now, you'd think that that would free us up to time our farrowings and spread them out through the year, which would be a great idea. Unfortunately, so many people want to hire boars that actually most of the time he's been out at other people's farms, and therefore when he comes back, I have to get him in with all of them, or I have this year. So that's why we're in this situation again. So last time round we had all 3 in pig to Jack, the boar we hired, and now they're all 3 back in pig to Bruce, our new boar. So next year I am going to make it a farm mission, one of our plans for the year at least, to separate them through, because quite often we get people asking for piglets and we have a glut. They're all in once, and yes, we normally always sell them, but you know, it'd be nice to be able to offer them to people throughout the year. And that leads me on to what we do with our pigs. We started out by doing pork boxes, and that was great, and we still produce pork for our family and friends, and occasionally for sale. However, for us now, it's easier and more efficient for us to sell the weaners. So that means selling them at 8 weeks old or thereabouts, once they've weaned and they're ready to go on to new homes. So obviously they are with mum for that full 8 weeks, but they start weaning and eating solids fairly early. And then once they've gone off, then the girls get a good rest. We don't kind of breed them back to back all the time. So they've had the full year off since their farrowing in February, and now they're going to have their next litter. Now they're an extremely popular breed of pig to keep at the moment, fueled by several known people keeping them, including Mr. Clarkson. And that, together with them just being a really nice breed, means that there's quite a high demand for weaners. So a lot of people who just want to breed, rear 2 or 3 themselves for their own freezer or for friends, or on a small holding, and they don't necessarily want to be breeding or having a boar or anything like that. And quite often those customers come back each year. So we've already got people who will take 2 or 3 every year, and they ask, and they have a bit of a waiting list that we've got. So that's probably what's going to happen this time around again. We may keep a couple on through winter, and also there will be on occasion some of those piglets which are good enough to keep on for breeding or for selling for other people to breed from. That said, you have to be quite fussy. Now, we had about 30 piglets over the 3 litters last time at a similar time, and to my eye at least, this girl here was the only one worth keeping out of all the females. All the others were sold as meat weaners. That doesn't mean that those people have to butcher those pigs. They could keep them on, they could even breed from them, but as far as registering them as pedigree pigs, I considered her to be the only one that had all the right attributes. Of course, there will also be boars within those litters that could be good for breeding, but less people want the boars, and we've obviously got our own at the moment anyway. But if there are any that are kind of outstanding, then it might be that we keep those on as well. I think I possibly even did a video on things to look for in this breed, and I'm no expert, but some of it comes down to markings. But I'm learning more and more that actually it's less about markings and more about body size, shape, characteristic, ears, nose, number of teats, underline, and all these other things that actually are far more important from a pig's perspective, other than just what they look like in the show ring. So yes, in an ideal world for this pig, let's look at Amber, because she is quite a good, well, I hope a good one to look at. So she's got 4 white feet, she's got a white tassel on the end of her tail, she's got a white blaze in between her eyes, and she's got even teats all the way along. I think she's got 14, sometimes they have 16, and that's, you know, she's a good pig, and she's gonna make a great sow for us. Lavender here, again, slightly different bloodline. She's a little bit lighter, but they've all just molted out their colours, so they do change during the years. This girl here is the one we kept from our first litter with Matilda. Now, she's got a black tail, she hasn't got the white tip. But was it a deal breaker? No. And has it ever affected her piglets? No. They've quite often been born correctly marked. And that will lead us back to Bruce in a minute, because I'll explain why he is a little bit of an exception as well. So that's the girls. They've been over here all summer, and the priority now is to get sorted over back in the other pen for farrowing, and we need to decide whether we're going to farrow outside or whether we're going to try and bring them in again, which is quite tricky because I've got several hundred chickens in the indoor spaces. We have 3 farrowing arcs, so that one over there, and we've got 2 more over the other side. Now, these are big girls, and I've in the past had more arcs over here, bigger kind of housing, they'll always go in one. I could have 2 or 3, and out of choice they'll always pile in together. And a lot of times in the summer when it's warm enough, they'll just sleep under the trees and make their own little scrapes. So when they move back over, I will probably bring that one back over as well. I might give it a lick of paint even, but we'll get them lined up and we'll make a decision whether we farrow outdoors again or whether we bring them indoors. Last year, some of you might remember that we offered pig boxes, and we did that on a pork share basis. So basically meant that when we had our piglets in the spring, or in the winter actually, we were able to put it out to people and they could pre-reserve and pay a deposit for their pork box for the end of the year. What that meant is we could keep on, I think we kept 7 or 8 on in the woods over there, slow grow our pigs throughout the whole year, and then in the autumn deliver these pork boxes. It worked okay, we probably broke even, but at least it meant that we knew we had a customer and we didn't end up with like half a ton of pork in 3 freezers at the end of the year. That said, it's a lot of work for not a lot back, so that's kind of why we're just sticking with doing the weaners at the moment. We've still got to feed our sows all year round, and I don't really want to do the maths on it because it would probably be a negative issue. But you know, I think that's probably the best route for us. It's just to stick with the weaners now. A couple of these lambs are absolute monsters. Some of them are just, I mean, look at the size of this guy here. I think he was probably one of the oldest. But there's some which are far too young. Oh, this is just what I was coming to do. Get my string out of my bales. And then you're wearing, oh god, I've done it. Right, let's count them out like a nurse in a operating theatre. 1, 2, and then we'll end up with old Brucey boy here. So Bruce, hog trotter, he is Mr. Lady Lover. Sorry, you haven't had much to eat, yeah. So he is our boar. He's only a young'un and he's got quite a bit of growing to do, but he's now big enough to breed with our big sows. So he is going out this weekend. He's off to Wales. Obviously he's done his work here, and then he's got 3, I think 2 or 3 other breeders lined up after that. So he's got to do the rounds before he comes back, and then we'll use him with our young gilt Amber in maybe December, January. So we've had a big digger out on hire, so I've had a bit of a play around in here. This is all a load of gravel, type 1, that we've kind of created this bit of hard sanding. The idea being that now we've got this second gate here, at one each end, we can bring livestock in either end, and this is where we're going to do a bit of a sorting pen. I'll probably store the trailer down here as well, but we can bring the cattle crush down here, we can bring the scales, all our hurdles, and hopefully have a bit more organisation, so that when we're either sorting, weighing, treating, we've just got one designated place to do it. And then these are going to move back slightly. We'll probably put a fence up the middle between the gate posts, and then probably build 3 small pig pens with probably just electric between them, electric fence, so that way I can just open up as one. So at any one time there's only ever 3 pigs in here. Either way, all of our sows will, when we're happy for them to go together, they'll run together with their piglets. It doesn't work for everyone, and it only works really if you've got sows that know each other and enough space. So normally it's not in here where they might try and crush into one place. It's normally when we've got more space up in the Dutch barn or somewhere like that. So we just try and keep things simple. A lot of people will just keep sows individually in their own pens, everyone, you know, and it's fine, but I kind of like the herd mentality of, you know, different generations and different ages and stages in together, as long as no one's getting pregnant when they shouldn't be. So obviously a boar does need to be separate some of the time. If it hadn't been for Amber, that young gilt, being too young to get in pig, then he could just be with the ladies still, and we could just have that group, and one group's easier than trying to split it all up. Same with the sheep, you know, we split the sheep up so the lambs could wean off for 2 or 3, 4 weeks, but then as soon as we could, we just put all the dry ewes back in, and it's just easier to deal with one field, one group of sheep, than having 3 separate. The only thing I've got in here are 2 rams, which can't see them now, 2 lambs which we missed. So I do need to find those because they are getting to an age now where it could be an issue, and those can go in a separate pen. We're not keeping them as rams. We might try and sell them as rams. They won't be registered unless there is a bigger one who could be a good breeder, but otherwise they just need to be kept separate for family planning reasons. If you watch our other channel, The Restoration Couple, you'll know that we've been building this farm track. So if you're seeing it here, you got the sneak peek. Don't tell anyone that you saw it first, but we've been building this track here for the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's been a lot of work. It's not as perfect as I'd want, but it is a very serviceable farm track, and it's going to be a big game changer for the winter months, being able to get to all the fields without slopping around in the fields. So yeah, that's why things might look a little bit different down here, and hopefully over the autumn and, well, maybe next spring we might get a few trees planted along here and make it a little bit of a feature. And also in the background, last week Maggie here had a litter of pups. She's having a bit of time out at the moment because they are not giving her much rest. She had 8 puppies. Didn't you miss? Hey? 8 pedigree Lagotto puppies, and they're all doing great. We filmed, of course, we tried to film a little bit of the birth, the whelping, so we'll be sharing that in our next video, and a little bit about how things are getting on. They're getting weighed daily. The girls are really involved. Maggie, you've been a great mum. She's getting a little bit fed up now, but she's got plenty of milk now, which is what's important, and they're growing really well. So hopefully they'll have their eyes open in the next few days, and then let the chaos commence, because as soon as they find their feet, they'll be running a riot everywhere. They're in the lounge at the moment, but soon they'll be moving to their new little residence. They've got a whole room, so there we go. You're doing well, aren't you, pup? I've got to go and do the chickens and the ducks now. If you've got any questions, leave them down below. I'll also leave a link to the Oxford Sandy and Black Foundation charity, which is the breed kind of group that we belong to for our Oxford Sandy and Blacks. And if you're getting into a certain breed, it's actually worth having a look to see what the support is like for that breed, because obviously we have various breeds of various different livestock groups, species, and I must say that the Oxford Sandy and Black group is probably one of the best groups to belong to. It's just so supportive. They have loads of support material and free labelling for your meat, and calculators and stuff online for working out how much things cost, how much it costs to grow a pig for meat, breeding databases for registering and monitoring all the pigs. So I'll leave a link, because if you want to get into pigs, it might be something that might steer you towards the breed over another breed. We kept Gloucester Old Spots when we first moved here, just for meat, and they were a nice pig, but there was something about, one, the appearance and temperament of this breed, but also the support that we get with the breed group. So they've got a Facebook page, but I'll see if I can put the link to their main website down below. But I'll leave it there. Take care, and we'll see you next time. You still hungry? You're still hungry, aren't you? Don't tell the others, but I'm going to the brewery tomorrow. I'm going to the brewery and we're going to get some grains. He just blew his nose over my face. That's disgusting.